Hello everybody, it's Toddler from Oscha Slings. As you can see, I'm by myself today. We have waved Hannah off into her maternity leave and just wishing her really well as she patiently waits for baby to appear. And she gets to meet him, them, they, with all those snuggles. Let me know where you're joining from, and as ever, if somebody could share the link to this into the clan, that would be fantastic, and let me know when you've been able to do that. So we're talking today about our gorgeous autumnal releases on our new Earth Warp. It's been amazing seeing all the love that you've gotten, that you've had for that as we've shown the model photos, and our testers have given us 3 beautiful reviews. Hi Annika, thanks for joining. So I'm actually really excited to talk about these 3 wraps today. So it's a bit of a bumper crop, 3 different designs. Thank you very much for sharing the link, that's brilliant. As I was saying, we're talking about our Earth Warp today, and it's actually a little bit of a personal one for me. It's the first warp I worked on the day I got back from my maternity leave back in April, so feels quite personal. I've sort of seen it from the concept and all the way through now to the finished fabric, so it's lovely to have them in hand and to see them, yeah, looking so vibrant and bright. So I'll just wait for a moment for a few more people to join and check that there's no questions or other comments. So yeah, let me know, is it autumn where you are? I know we design for our northern hemisphere weather, but I mean, I know it can equally be spring where you are and heading into summer, but hopefully wherever you are, these amazing warm blended colours will suit just right for what you're looking for. So I'll get started. I'm wondering if, because we've had a slight change of schedule this week and we're on a Thursday rather than a Monday, that might be causing some people to have a bit of a schedule clash. So I'll get started and we'll work our way through. So the first fabric I wanted to show you is this very much requested Fangorn Endmoot. So it's a pattern that we really haven't woven often, I think only maybe 4 times previously. Claudia says it's definitely autumn in Finland. Oh yeah, I spent some time there and apparently the Finns say it's the only country with a true autumn. So it doesn't just run sort of into a late summer and into a winter, it really has an autumn season, and I can confirm the colours there are something else. When the leaves all change colours, it really just lights up with all those fiery reds and oranges. So yeah, this would be perfect. So we have our Fangorn pattern on this beautiful gradation of forest greens through slightly lighter greens, through a sort of ochre yellow, and through the orange into a kind of russet red. So it's really taking inspiration from that time of year when the trees pull back all their chlorophyll and stop feeding the leaves, and they turn into what I've recently learned is their true colours. So the oranges and reds and yellows that we see, and give us that lovely display before everything goes to sleep for winter. So we have Treebeard here, Fangorn being the Sindarin name for Treebeard, I believe, and this one is named Entmoot after the meeting of the Ents when they, I think, were deciding whether to join the war against Saruman. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's just, I think, perfect for this foresty pattern to be on this lovely Earth Warp. This one has a linen weft, so we're using our thick Italian linen in macadamia, which is just a slightly warmer than ecru shade, so I think it really just sits nicely alongside these lovely autumnal natural colours and gives it a real softness. So I'll just pop this on and as I'm talking through it, my size 7 here, so I'm trying not to get myself tangled up. So I was mentioning that this is our thick Italian wet spun linen, which gives a really strong and supportive fabric for carrying bigger babies and children. It tends to be quite a popular option. So this one, our tester Laura, who did us a gorgeous review with lots of lovely pictures, and I recommend that you go and check that out in the clan. She said she was shocked at how soft and drapey it was right out of the bag compared to the previous linen wraps she's been able to try. So actually this one is just woven slightly less densely than some of the previous ones, so you still get all of that strength and that durability and the toddler worthiness that you're used to from linen, but with, oh, let me see, but with a slightly lighter feel in hand, slightly thinner and definitely drapier. So you can see this one is obviously new and just moulding really nicely around baby. The lovely drape. Oops, Emmanuel says, slightly late, hello. Hi Emmanuel, thanks for joining. No problem. As I was saying earlier, if you feel there's anything you've missed and if I can show anything quickly that you want to see, then just let me know and I'll get through to all the questions before we wrap up. So you can just see all of those colours playing so nicely as we get that wrapped. Just bring that around there. So I've got baby sitting there nice and snug. And you can see how that's handling. It's not not feeling bulky or difficult to manage really at all. Just see if I can step back here and show you what the knot looks like when it's tied. So there, you can see that really wasn't a struggle to tighten. So this is going to be really good even for smaller babies straight out of the bag, and I think it will soften up to just be lovely with wear. And obviously you're still getting a supportive wrap for bigger kids and into toddlerhood, especially if you work with multi-layer carries, and you can really play with all those colours and let the layers kind of do the work for you, which is why we love wrapping after all. So Claire says, how belle cette écharpe? Yeah, really lovely, this fabric. Yeah, thank you, Claire. We're really pleased with it. I'm really happy that it's getting a lot of love too. It feels so appropriate for the season we're in. Obviously I'm not outside, but we have had a glorious sunny day here in Scotland, and it's just put me in the mood for all of these fabrics, so it's great timing. Just pop baby down and move on to our next wrap. Oh, I forgot to say the blend. So it's 51% BCI organic combed cotton and 49% of our thick Italian wet spun linen. That's the Fangorn there. Yeah, just gorgeous. I think it's a pattern that really rewards careful looking as well, because you can just see there's so many details in it. It's so intricate. And I just think wherever you center this or wrap it, you're going to have a really lovely image to show off, and beautiful details coming through, and just that slight irregularity with the natural linen, giving it that bit of texture through the wrap and a slight hint of a fleck. So yeah, that's wrap number one. I'm moving swiftly on. So the next one I want to show you is Lothlorien Kelleborn. So this one was, this design I should say, is inspired by the Malorn leaves of Lorien, and it was designed by Rachel Love working together with one of our previous designers, Yvonne. And again, I encourage you to head over into the clan. Rachel's put up a really lovely post all about how about working through this, the process of designing it and what it's meant for her to have this wrap kind of receiving so much love and appreciation from all of you. So yeah, all of these are very personal, so that's a lovely touch, I think, to know who's designed it. So this one is, I've got a size 4 wrap here, so I'm gonna I will wrap it the other way up just to show you how versatile this colorway can be. So I think just that rust red on top is so beautiful, as well as the green at the bottom. And I did see there were some questions asking about how this would be as a shawl or a scarf. So I think at 264 GSM, it's just slightly lighter in hand than a lot of our average wraps, and certainly slightly lighter than the other two I'm showing you today. So I think with the drapiness of the silk going through it and the way these colours sit across the wrap, I think this would make an absolutely stunning scarf or shawl or a cowl or an infinity loop. I think you can just wear it so many ways. You can show off the colours if you fancy wearing it more as a shawl. I think that's going to just be a really lovely accessory if you're no longer baby wearing or just want to treat yourself to something really nice. Just seeing, there's a question. Annika says, are those wraps going to be limited somehow? So I wouldn't say these are limited. Obviously there is a finite amount of fabric, so we can't predict what happens if there's a rush for them, but no, I wouldn't say they're very limited. They've sort of got slightly more than our average quantities for these ones, so I hope everybody will manage to get what they want. So I'll just show you this wrapped quickly. Just putting this on with the red rail at the top, just to show the variation you can get with the colours of this lovely warp. So this one, the blend is 60% BCI organic combed cotton and 40% barrette silk. So the melange barrette running through it kind of gives it a really lovely texture and a slight fleckiness with the nubs and slubs that come through. So it's also going to be one that's really lovely seen from far away and up close for the detail as well, especially with the intricate lines of the Lothlorien pattern just picked out there in that gorgeous barrette silk. So I'm going to try for a little tied under bum carry. I always find these just slightly difficult, so bear with me. Slightly harder to tighten. And slip knots are something I haven't mastered confidently for tying at the sides, so maybe that's my next thing I should work on. So, just tie that there. Again, a really lovely wrap to handle and just sits really nicely with those colours, adding that definition, so the green, the dark green kind of sitting there next to that rail is just, yeah, playing through that whole spectrum. Rosie says, I love this one. It's like it sparkles. Yeah, it really is. It's kind of got this gorgeous, almost like, I don't know, it makes me think of stars in the sky for some reason. But just that nice kind of almost like random fleckiness. So it comes through on the reverse side, but just subtly comes through on the face as well, which I think gives it just a really lovely character. Showing off the natural properties of the silk. Amber says, will we get a choice of ring colour for the ring slings or just one colour be offered? I'm pretty sure we just offer one colour with the made to orders. I will double check on that, or perhaps Holly, if you're tuned in, you could confirm, but I'm pretty sure it'll just be one colour. I don't know exactly which colour off the top of my head, so we'll have to just check that and get back to you. But yeah, so that's Lothlorien Kelleborn. Yeah, accessory, wrap, shawl, good for everything, I think. Just pop baby down there and so our last one I've kept to the end because it is just a riot of autumn colour, and I think just going to be lovely. Oh, I should have mentioned our Lothlorien was tested by Bettina, and she also said that the wrap is really mouldable, not bulky at all, and good for smaller babies and not just for toddlers and up. So I think a really versatile wrap, no matter what age of child you're carrying. The silk will be really strong, but also should be very kind to shoulders, and very comfortable even for longer wearing. So yeah, just to make your selection even more difficult. So the last one we have is Ancients of Gondor Acorn, which we just took all of the autumn colours and put them all in there. So I think again really appropriate for this warp to have this tree pattern on it and coming into autumn, and just the way these colours are rich and sort of really glow against the warp. So we've got the pattern represents the lineage of the white trees, which are the emblem of Gondor. And so we've got, let me get this right. So we've got Kelleborn here picked out in this bitter chocolate. It varies along the warp a little, but mainly the colours are centred each on a different tree. So you're getting that crossing happening in the tree just below the centre line. So we've got Kelleborn in the bitter chocolate, and then the white tree of Numenor picked out in this kind of jester red, sort of a soft, almost scarlet colour. And then the white tree of Gondor represented by the crown at the top in this Hawaiian sunset, which is a really lovely warm yellow slash orange, yeah, and just has this shimmer when it moves, which is gorgeous. And then, because we like to have fun, you have the reverse side where you get the trees glowing through in the warp colours on this background of really autumnal kind of fall leaves shade. Let me just see if there's any questions before I pop this on. Oh, Becky says, have I missed Fangorn already? Yes, I did that at the start, but I will hold it up briefly at the end, and then hopefully you can get an idea for how it looks, how it moves, and the detail of it. So that'll be no problem. Just get my tree here. So again, so this is a bamboo viscose weft in the 3-colour grad. So the 3 colours are again jester red, bitter chocolate, and Hawaiian sunset. and the bamboo viscose is our new 5-ply yarn. So I saw a few questions about the difference between the previous bamboo viscose that we used and the current one we have, because I think all of the different single thickness, double thickness, 5-ply, etc. can become a little confusing if you're not sort of used to those terms. And to be honest, there isn't a good way of so a 2-ply, a yarn that's used doubled is called 2-ply, and a yarn that just happens to have 5 strands in it is called 5-ply. And there's no difference between those terms, you just sort of have to know the yarn. So I can understand that that gets a little bit confusing. I'll come back to that just in a moment when I've finished wrapping. So we've got this wrap at 58% BCI organic combed cotton and 42% bamboo viscose at about 282 GSM. So it's sitting right at our kind of average average weight for our wraps, a good all-rounder kind of weight as well. It feels really drapey and soft in hand, and I'm just gonna hold that up again. So I'm going for a front wrap cross carry here, but you can just see how much fun you could have playing with all those colours, using both sides of the wrap or in a ring sling or any fancy finishes that you can use to really show that off and make the most of the colours. Our tester Ali has some gorgeous pictures of this wrapped using both faces of the wrap. So again, head over to Clan Oscha and check out her review. She says it ticks all the boxes for her. It's easy care, good for heavier babies, and the double-sided pattern gives you kind of 2 wraps in one. And a variety of different ways to wear it, which I think is always nice. You get a little bit more mileage out of a wrap if fancy finishes are your thing, and you can really play around with the colours that are on show. So to come back to the yarns, I thought I would just very quickly show, because the question was, is this the 2-ply that was used previously in designs like Legend of Frodo Nare, or is it a single-ply yarn? So I've got the 2 of these side by side. So this is our Ancients of Gondor acorn right here, and this is Legend of Frodo Nare. So you can sort of see there is a bit of a difference in the weights of the yarns, which is one of the differences. So Legend of Frodo Nare was a good bit bulkier, although it had, you know, that you add cush, but you also add bulk. This yarn is quite cushy, but without all that bulk added. And the reason for that, putting it sort of simply, is that the more plies you have in a yarn, the more little pockets of cush you're adding, bits of air, so they'll add a little bit of bounce to the yarn as it goes. So we've got the Legend of Frodo Nare is it's actually a 2-ply yarn made up of 2 yarns that are also 2-ply, so it's technically 4, but because they've each been twisted before, you sort of compressed a little bit the cush you could get, whereas the one we're using now is just 5 plies in one, and because those have all been spun together at the same time, they just trap a little bit more air between them for the weight of the yarn. So you get a slightly more cush for your yarn thickness, if that makes sense. So just, I thought that question does come up now and again, so I wanted to try and explain it. I don't know how I've done, but hopefully that sort of makes some sense for you all. So I think that's it. I will just, as promised, show you the Fangorn again. So here we go. So I'll just summarise quickly. There's our Fangorn, just showing off this lovely landscape design, forestscape I should say, on the earth colours. Very appropriate for the season. And you've got all the detail there being picked out by our thick Italian wet spun linen in macadamia. So it's got a lovely warm tone to it, and slightly less densely woven than some of our other thick Italian linen fabrics. So it's just giving it a bit of extra drape, which makes it lovely and sort of moldable straight out of the bag. So hopefully that's filled in some of the gaps for you. And there's the reverse side, just so you can see. Yeah, the details kind of show up differently on the reverse, so you could play around with this one as well. So I think that's more or less it. I'll just check if there are any questions, and then I'm just going to show you. Right, I think we're all okay. So the last thing I wanted to do was mention that we do have one of our full custom pre-orders running at the moment. So the Winter in the Forest PO group have put together their warp, and they have selected patterns, and they're just about to get going on polling for their wefts and how they pair up with the patterns. So I have got the yarns here. There was one colour I couldn't find, and I thought, do I show it, do I not? But I'm going to just show you anyway, because it's this lovely gradation from this like almost deep royal blue through these darker blues, and then ending on a green in the bottom rail. I couldn't find this swatch. I will find it and I'll post a picture down in the comments. But if this looks like your sort of thing, should be a dark green in here. Then head over to the Winter in the Forest group and get involved and see whether there's something there that takes your fancy. I think there'll be lots of lovely blends going. I've been seeing talk about cashwool and tussa, so yeah, head over there and see what's going on. I'll just double check that there's no questions, but I think that's us just about done. So yeah, thank you very much everybody for joining us, and I will be back in a couple of weeks' time, of course, again with our next releases. Until then, enjoy, and thanks very much. Bye.